Hello, viewers. It's the Mindful Man. I'm reading The Clinic by Paul G. Brett. I'm going to try and read longer than before. Mama and Papa, there's more. Hugo's got a new job. It's in London. I meant to tell you, but we're moving there to Wimbledon. Isn't it fantastic? You're moving and a new job, Hugo. You're a medical scientist, aren't you, in the same line of business? Yes, actually, it's leading a team in a clinic. They're working on this treatment of infertility, high-level testing and research. You won't believe how clever he is, Mama. I'm learning so much, all about how to have babies when you can't and all that. Frederica and I exchanged glances and knew at once what was going through her mind. Oh, not me, silly. People who've been trying and trying and trying and can't fall pregnant, and they're at their wits' end and don't know where to turn. Hugo's going to help them. It's such wonderful work. Lucy beamed as he went on to talk about IVF and the modern techniques they were exploring. I couldn't believe it. I'd just been asked to join the committee considering the morality of all this, and now here it was in my family, or almost in my family. Well, I said, looking at the clock, I think I must just go back into the study and think about my sermon. I've got to go to one of our larger villages on Sunday. The vicar's not been there long, so I expect he wants me to get him some brownie points from the congregation, if you know what I mean. Hugo smiled, as if he knew about trying to ingratiate himself with others, and Lucy couldn't keep still in her chair as I left the room. Sitting at my desk a few moments later, I opened up the computer in front of me and paused for a moment of reflection. What should I say? They had sensibly transferred their patronal festival from August in the middle of the holiday season to the second Sunday of September, and the readings immediately suggested a suitable theme for my address. I would talk about the blessedness of virginity and the joys of childbirth. On further reflection, I realized that I'd have to be careful, for their previous vicar had moved away and then hung himself in the belfry, and I heard there was something news about Lee Holloway, though I didn't yet know what. The people might be worried about the future of their church, or anxious about the calibre of the men we were putting in the parishes these days. If they'd been reading the papers, that is. Perhaps I could speak about life and death, the eternal cycle of being born and dying, and our need to receive what God sent to us with humility and acceptance. Some of that stuff I'd been reading earlier might be useful. Wiping my hand across my mouth, I attacked the keyboard. It is a great honour I began to be invited to this important parish, so early in my ministry in this diocese, and on this the festival of the Blessed Virgin Mary. As it happened, your vicar and I met in other circumstances a year ago, and it's a joy to meet up with him again, as they say. There might even be a little laugh then. I want to say at once that the most unfortunate death of James Ladbroke is not unknown to me, and I want to tell you at once that my deepest sympathy and profoundest prayers are with all those who knew and loved him. The parish system lies at the heart of our great Church of England, and our parish priests are at the centre of its life. He had been your incumbent for some time, and you may well feel not only anxiety for his family, but also anxiety about the ordained ministry as a whole. If that could happen to him, what else might happen? I want you to know, too, that Canon Holloway, your new vicar, is one of my most distinguished colleagues. He was on the staff of our cathedral for some 8 years before coming to you. He is a mature and experienced priest, a man of individuality and character. He intends, I know, to serve here for many years and to give himself to the people of these villages with all his heart. In doing so, he has my total support, and I hope and pray that he will have your total support too. They might mutter at that, I imagine, not sure whether you like him yet or not. So today we observe your patronal festival. Many of our English churches are dedicated to the Virgin Mary. Indeed, there were more than 2,000 of them by the time of the Reformation alone. In rejoicing together, we join countless others all over the country in a great fellowship of celebration. Mary's the great example of acceptance and humility in the face of life as it unfolds, often outside our control and beyond our dreams. She's the great role model for all of us. "We're now at the beginning of autumn," I typed on enthusiastically, "and soon the leaves will turn brown and die. Over the winter the seeds will lie dormant in the soil, perhaps warmed under a blanket of snow, and in February or March they will spring into life again. Country people do not need me to remind them of the eternal cycle of death and life, the natural rhythm of the seasons, the pattern of nature given to us by God Himself in His good providence. I am really getting into my stride at this point. Those who heed this fact will not easily believe that the future of human life should be entirely in human hands. It is not ours to do with as we choose. As we say in another context, the Lord gave and the Lord hath taken away. They wouldn't miss that allusion to the old burial service, and they might even begin to think of me as a traditionalist. I could ad-lib here quite a bit. In the same way, the gift of children is in the Lord's hands. It is He who creates new life, not us. We are simply the recipients of His gracious will, as the Blessed Virgin was herself the humble handmaid of the Lord. "Be it unto me according to thy word," she said, and as we have just read, "My soul magnifies the Lord." We should say this too. This was good stuff, I thought, as my fingers spread across the keys. I'd elaborate on that as well. I went on a bit more along those lines, and then looked up a suitable poem with which to conclude. "There, done," I said with relief. Now I could go back to the family. I wanted to talk further with Hugo and find out what he thought about new reproductive technologies, as I discovered I should call them. In the event, however, I find his views rather chilling, rather too impersonal for my taste, and I felt apprehensive for Lucy and her relationship with him. Hope you like that chapter. Coming up soon, chapter number 4 of The Clinic by Paul G. Brett.